Welcome back to Nick Lenz's Comic Corner Classics That's Non-Classics. This is episode number 1134 and Doubleshot number 1028. I have one Marvel trade and one DC trade. One thing these two trades have in common, both of them really damn good series. First up it is The Immortal Hulk, Volume 3, Hulk in Hell. Yes, collecting issues 11 to 15 of the Immortal Hulk comic book by Al Ewing and artwork by Joe Benning. Yeah, Joe Bennett, excuse me, not Benning, Bennett. Yeah. And he does have a co-artist here with these issues, yes. Now, I mostly put Joe Bennett does issues 11, 13, and issue 15. He co-does issues 11, 13, 15 with Roy Jussett. Issue 13... they only use this 14 here, surprisingly. Oh, 14 is done by Kyle Holtz. Yes. These are pretty much his co-artist is Eric Nivick. Yes. These issues... oh, yeah, by the way, the cover art is done by Alex Ross. Yep. Picking up with last trade, Hulk is in hell. Him along with McGee, the female reporter who's been following him since the start of this run, are in hell. And they're confronted by various dead people, including Brian Banner. If you don't know who Brian Banner is, he is the father of Dr. Robert Bruce Banner, aka the Hulk. Yeah, they go a bit of his flashback where basically Brian Banner was a very abusive father. Yes, Al Ewing just referenced the Peter David run. Yep, he made sure for the fact that he kept this canon. They also show McGee's, like a friend of hers, who I think her parents who passed away. Hulk just briefly introduced himself to them. And we also see, of all people, Rick Jones. Yes, Rick Jones. And this guy is dead. And here's the thing. If you're wondering how the heck he died in Secret Empire. He was executed by the Nazi Captain America for, well, apparently betraying him. Yep. And he's still dead. I kind of wish that they would not have killed off Rick Jones. Rick Jones, in my opinion, he's not that well-known of a character outside the comics. Yes, this guy did briefly appear outside the comics, briefly in live action, in the awful 2003 Hulk movie. And this guy has appeared in cartoons. I think he appeared in the original 60s cartoon. Surprisingly, I don't think he appeared in the Hulk cartoon from the 90s, which I have seen. It's a pretty damn good cartoon. In the case of, well... also, in case you're wondering, is Sasquatch in here? He was in the first 10 issues as a recurring character. Here, surprisingly, no. He is nowhere to be seen. And does the Hulk have help? Yeah, he does. No problem. I don't remember how he did. But this book is... now, I mentioned this in the first trade review that this series does do something that Bendis failed to do in Civil War II. Explain how in the world Doc Samson came back to life. There's reference to his death in here as well. Yeah, there's a flashback to how he died. Back in the crossover in the crossover World War Hulks. He died back in issue 610, back in 2010. The guy was dead for 6 years, and then, like, for some strange reason, oh, he's back to life again. Somehow. Yeah, it's one of the things Bendis did, and, yeah, one of, like, 2 resurrections I can think of he did. And it took another writer to bother to explain this character's resurrection. Not the first time he did it, where he just have a character come back to life with no explanation, and it takes another writer in another series to bother to explain this, of how the heck he came back to life. The first time he did this was with Cornstar, the father of Cyclops and Cable's grandfather. Yeah, he just randomly comes back despite the fact Brubaker killed him off. If you wonder how long he was dead for, he was dead for... I think it was about 4 or 5 years. He got killed off in the awesome storyline Rise and Fall of Shi'ar Empire, and then he got brought back in the trial of Jean Grey. And it took And here's the thing, it took the third issue of the Cyclops series, which spun off from that story, to bother to explain that. In the case of Doc Samson, the guy shows a complete random at the start of Civil War II of all things. And we even have a brief flashback to his backstory. Yes, his backstory is referenced here. Now, those of you who don't know who Doc Samson is a psychiatrist. He is the only known superhuman psychiatrist in Marvel Comics. As a matter of fact, he's the only one who actually does do this. As a matter of fact, Linkara just referenced him in his review for House of M on why in the world wasn't he contacted to basically deal with Scarlet Witch's problems. Yeah, a lot of people probably pointed out, though, about, in the case of Doc Samson. How did he come back to life, you wonder? It relates to the Green Door. Yes, it's something Al Ewing came up with. Yeah, that somehow revived him despite the fact when he was last seen, the man was turned into a skeleton. Yeah, he got fried to a crisp. He was dead as a doornail. But thanks to Green Door, he restored his body, and I love the fact Al Ewing threw this humor in here because the guy's known for humor. He's like, he crawls out of his own grave, sees let's just say, I think it's like the character graveyard. He says, "Hey, can I borrow a phone, please?" Okay, that was so funny. I love that line. That was when I saw that line again, it made me laugh. And basically, it's like going back to the Hulk. Also, when they show Ross in hell, they have him turned back into Red Hulk, despite the fact he can't do that anymore. Yeah, did Al Ewing retcon Gary Duggan? Yeah, Gary Duggan was the one who actually took away Ross's ability to become the Red Hulk. Though how it looks a little different now into this artwork than how he's normally depicted. Because when you think of Ross as the Red Hulk, usually they take the look from the Ed McGuinness look from the Jeff Loeb run of Hulk back in 2008. That thing was drawn for a long time. Here, basically, Joe Bennett decided to make him thinner than he normally is. It's implied he actually is dead, by the way. I think he was killed. He was killed in the pages of Captain America, of all things. Yes, the writer of the Kurt Writer's book killed him off. I'm like, really? Why would you kill off Ross for? The guy had, as far as I know, in the comics, barely in connection to Captain America. Aside from the fact they're both in the military, though writers send back and forth exactly what branch the military he's from. Normally he's depicted part of the Army. Some depictions depict him part as the Air Force. I'm not kidding about that. If you look up basically General Ross' history, yeah, that's how they wrote him. Yeah, and yeah. Overall, really fun book to read. Can't wait to get my hands on Volume 4, which has Hulk has his rematch with Abomination. Oh yeah. And it'll be the first time since Mark Waid wrote Hulk that they've actually fought. And I can't wait to review that. Next up is another awesome book from Robert Venditti. This is Hal Jordan and the Green Lantern Corps, Volume 5, Twilight of the Guardians. Yep. This collects issues 30-31 and 33-36. You might ask the important question, where the heck is 32? Well, that was part of the Dark Knight Middle crossover that happened a couple years ago. Yep, it was basically part of that Bats from Hell crossover across the head. Had this book, Flash, and 2 issues of Justice League. Yeah. I actually own the trade, by the way. I think it's part of the Resistance. Yep. Now, the storyline itself picks up, see, we have John Stewart getting contact from Superman. Yeah, the first part of this storyline, issues collecting here, this is a follow-up from a 2-parter from Superman. Yes. When Superman fought Sinestro and left his ring behind. Yeah. I'm glad the fact that Robert Denny followed up with this right away, because this would have been dumb if you left this alone for a long period of time. And basically, here's the thing. Now, we have all 4 Lanterns here. We have Hal, we have Guy, John, who was leading the Green Lantern Corps. I think he took over leadership at the start of this run. And Kyle Rayner, who is a Green Lantern again. Yeah, I do agree with the opinion. Turning back to Green Lantern was probably a step backwards in his character development, but here's the thing. Ron Venditti had nothing to do with him becoming a White Lantern. That was all Justin Jordan's doing. Yeah, he just did what another writer did to this character. I didn't think him becoming a White Lantern was a terrible thing per se, but it was an odd thing to do when it comes to Kyle Rayner. But they had good purpose. Restoring the Blue Lantern Corps. Yep, that was the whole purpose of it. So, we actually have Superman giving Kyle his ring, like, giving Sinestro's ring, but apparently it's supposedly Parallax inside of it. And it turns out, no, Parallax is not inside of it, and Superman turns into a possessed Parallax. Yeah, Parallax possesses Superman. And then he gets freed after Hal Jordan punches him really hard. And of course, during his period, he gets contacted by, of all people, as in the cover, Hector Hammond. Which, thank you, Venditti, for returning this character to Green Lantern. Because Hector Hammond is a Green Lantern villain. Why the heck that... And this, I kid you not, Scott Lobdell, for some reason, put this character as a Superman villain. And that made no freaking sense, because Hector Hammond is a Hal Jordan. Well, he's a Green Lantern villain. Why the heck is he fighting Superman? Yeah, I have no idea why this is. And apparently it was held by some other alien group, and of course him and Hal and Superman basically free Hector Hammond, and he's taken to Bell Rev. He's going to be taken care of by Star Labs. Great. And then we have something quite interesting happen. The return of the controllers. I barely know who these characters are, but I do know what group they're starting up that I have read their comic book. It's a good comic book, by the way, written by a Star Trek writer, believe it or not. The controllers, as they explain here, are a offshoot of the Guardians. Yep. By the way, they have all the Templar Guardians, including Ganthet and Senate, in here. They even have the Guardian from the Green Lanterns book in here. Rynek. Yeah, I think. Why interesting. Yeah, they were captured off panel. Everyone thought they were on like a vacation. Nope, they were all kidnapped by the controllers. So, we need to deal with the controllers. So, let's just send in the top 4 Green Lanterns to go rescue the Guardians. And they do, of course. And here's the thing. So apparently some of the other Guardians, the Templar Guardians, were sacrificed to revive the controllers, which brought the number up to 8. And Ganthet was like basically after surviving the experience, thanks to rescued by the Green Lanterns. Like, okay, we need to become like the Guardians of the universe. Like, become like the Guardian, and basically don't be like the previous version of the group where they're all complete jerks. By the way, in case you're wondering who was responsible for killing up the original Guardians, with the exception of Ganthet and Senec, was actually Sinestro. Why? Was actually retribution for having his home planet be destroyed. Yep, that was something Jeff Johns did. Yep. And they have a fun moment at the end. And of course, well, there's a couple of really interesting moments. We actually have Hal, Guy, and Kyle referencing the Four Horsemen, like, and who was Ric Flair? And John's like, and Kyle's like, I've got the nice hair, and John's like, I'm the leader. Which, I thought this was so funny, the end on this, but that's not the last thing we end on. That's one last thing we end up for the Green Lanterns. We do have something with the controllers, which bring about the return of, and I was surprised they decided to bring these things back. The Dark Stars. Yep, the Dark Stars. Okay, an explanation on the Dark Stars. Yes, there was a comic book called Dark Star published back in the 90s. Lasted for 32 issues, written by one writer, Michael Jan Fredman. Yes, this guy was a known Star Trek writer, believe it or not. He wrote Next Generation books, and his books were really good, by the way. Yeah, he's one of 2 Star Trek writers to write DC comic books. You know the other one is? Peter David. Yep, Peter David. Yep. And I love the fact that we actually have great setup for pretty much the rest of the series, dealing with the Dark Stars. Fantastic. Also, I got a list of the artists in here, which are Patrick Zurcher. Great choice because, well, I think he was the artist for the Superman book at the time. Of course, the book is not written by Bendis, though I heard he was leaving soon. Jack Herbert, Tom Duranick, Jose Lewis, Mark Gray, and Cam Smith. The cover art here is done by Ethan Van Sciver and Jason Wright. Which is great, though, the fact that Ethan Van Sciver is still doing the covers. Even though he's not doing the interior anymore, but it's great doing covers. I have heard he's no longer working for DC now, but I think doing covers is fine. He's trying to do his old Cyber Frog thing. This book is fantastic. Give this book a 9.5 out of 10. Even this one, too. Okay, so that's it for this particular review. My next review will be a review of the newest Batgirl trade. Yeah, I'll discuss my thoughts on this one. And what I heard about Margaret Scott and her opinion about the Batman writers. Oh, more backstory about the Dark Stars. Aside from the fact they were comic book, they're basically kind of like the Green Lantern Corps. They were kind of like a semi-replacement for them. And at one point they had Diana Troy and Jon Stewart as people who wore these costumes. Yes, and their form of justice is to kill criminals. And they're basically executioners in the way. That's what the Dark Stars were. I'm surprised Venditti brought back this group because this is a group exclusively for the 90s. Why in the way they brought them back, I have no idea. Also, there's no mention of the Sinestro Corps. Yeah, they've mostly disappeared from DC Comics for some reason. I have no idea why. I know Ethan Van Sciver is no longer writing this book because of these two books. Immortal Hulk is still being published, though the book is supposed to be ending issue 50. This book here is not being published anymore. Why? Because it was announced, I think it was like last year or two, that the book was basically, this book ended basically 24 issues after. It's like a year because this book is coming twice a month. Yeah, Ethan Van Sciver stated he was going to leave at issue 60, which he did, and the book ended. And not long after that, Green Lanterns ended. Why? To start up a brand new Green Lantern comic book called The Green Lantern, starring Hal Jordan, written by Grant Morris and Liam Sharp. I have read it. It's actually a pretty good book. I like it. I really do. I'm planning on getting the trades after I finish up reviewing Green Lanterns and Hal Jordan Green Lantern Corps. This book here, I believe I've got about 3 trades left. And I think in the case of Green Lanterns, I believe that one's got 4 left. Yep, so yeah, that's it for this particular review. I have no other videos. The only video I could probably do today is maybe One Piece if I get enough episodes done for it today. Otherwise, though, expect probably a review for it tomorrow at this rate. But until you see the next video, which will be probably a review for One Piece, Fire Force, and maybe Narcomic Corps. Okay, see you next video. Bye.